Okay, for those of you that are here, I'm recording for a couple of people that aren't here. I hope you're all okay with that. Can we give me a nod? As long as that's okay with you guys. Okay. They missed the first stage. Okay, so what are the types of detoxes? These are just some examples. Some of them I'm sure all of you guys have heard of. There are specific supplements that might help with detox. There are colonics. You can exercise, you can fast. I know this is going to be recorded, and as I just popped out my Invisalign, that's for everybody. Okay, there are saunas, there are juice cleanses, there are foot baths, and all of these, again, target different organs, but these are all ways that you can incorporate detoxing, not daily-ish basis, but on a somewhat regular basis. So detoxing has really been around for a very long time. Some of the ways of detox that were going on many years ago, we actually still utilize today. So there are some notations in Egypt talking about enemas. Enemas are actually very popular still today, probably in different ways than you guys even know about. There are things called coffee enemas, which are actually very beneficial to the digestive tract. And they're also utilized very heavily in a, I'll say a more holistic or natural cancer treatment for those that don't want to do chemo. So there's a couple places, one's in Mexico, and they really focus heavily on coffee enemas. They find great benefit in those. But our Greek physicians used herbs, fasting, and detox. That was all the way in 400 BC. The Han Dynasty, that was 2,000 years ago. We used detox. And we know all about sweat lodges and herbs for the Native Americans. And again, a lot of these, I don't know if any of you guys watch Gwyneth Paltrow's show. Okay, so Gwyneth Paltrow has a show called, based on her line and her blog and all these things, called Goop. And her show, they're very holistic, and their goal is to kind of seek out remedies or what is found to be beneficial in the health space, whether it's a product or a service or like a sweat lodge or like mushrooms. I mean, it's all like across the board. And they actually send staff members to do like cold water therapy, where they're able to mentally prepare to like jump into freezing cold water and be fine and like feel great and not feel cold. So there's a lot of this stuff that's still around right now. I think not all of it is just mainstream. So, all right, here's a little diagram picture of some of the organs that aid in detox. We mentioned a few of them. Skin is a huge one. Not only does it aid in detox, but it also absorbs a lot. So anything you are putting on your skin, it's very important that those products be clean. Intestine, lungs, liver, kidneys. And then, of course, what are some organs that are affected by detoxing or affected if you have detox or if you have toxin overload? So your blood, a lot of people might have heard of a condition called colitis. That's of the colon, which is your large intestine, and toxic overload can actually lead to colitis, which is inflammation of the colon. Your kidneys, your liver, again, toxic overload causes inflammation, your lungs, your lymph. And I know it's really hard on our end to read the picture I have. I know you guys on Zoom are going to be able to see this a little bit better. Let me see if I can, it's not really that great. So let me just tell you what it says. So essentially, coming into the picture are things like cigarette smoke, alcohol, rich foods, chocolate, GMOs, pesticides, herbicides, etc. And those come into our body. What they create is something called intestinal permeability. So if you think of your intestinal wall like a retaining wall, okay, so we've got all these blocks and it's sealed off and it's this great, awesome retaining wall. And then we eat all these things and we're exposed to all these chemicals. It's going to start to create cracks or holes within that wall and create permeability, which means things can now get through that are not supposed to get through. When that happens, that's where we create issues. Okay, so that's where people start to get colitis or irritable bowel, or we get candida overgrowth. And then the toxins will start to kind of collect and we'll get liver overload. So the liver can't detox because we have too much. So you get backup, you get detox problems that create stressors, that creates free radicals. If you've heard of free radicals, they're naughty and they're bad and they float around. And that is what's going to lead to health problems like joint pain, brain fog, chronic fatigue, infections, gastrointestinal issues. And then that cycle just continues because now what do? We treat those with medications. And what do those cause? Intestinal permeability, because they're not made to be in our body. Our body views them as toxins. So we start to break in holes. Yes, I have a question here in-house.
Just a quick question. So this cycle is with respect to the liver overload. I suspect a similar cycle happens with any of the other organs that are affected?
Yeah, so the question was, this cycle that I have a picture of deals with liver and liver toxic overload, but the same type of cycle you can assume happens with the other organs that detox, but in different ways. But yes.
Would it be synergistic?
Yes. It could be, yes. So they can go hand in hand. Okay, so what are some benefits to detox? If someone comes and they're like, why should I do a detox, whether it's an organized detox, or why should I care about the types of products or the things I'm putting in? These are just some basics. So reducing inflammation, we know inflammation can be the root cause of a million different diseases. So if we can get rid of inflammation, this doesn't just mean that we're swollen, right? This is internal inflammation. So this could mean pain, whether that's joint pain. This could mean digestive distress. This could mean things like fibromyalgia would get better, other issues like that. Energy, of course, more regulated energy, more regulated blood sugar. It could be helping weight loss. Somebody hits a plateau and they're like, I feel like I'm doing all the right things and nothing's happening. Okay, well, maybe you're on toxic overload. We got to cut some of these toxins out, get those processes working better. Of course, cleansing the liver and promoting healthy skin, because your skin is a reflection of your gut. And if we can clear that out, it's going to shine through your skin big time. And those are just a few. So I use the word toxin a lot. What in the heck is a toxin? So I have a list coming up, but I thought that this pretty well represented what I meant by toxin. Many of them are preventable, right? There's a lot of them that we can prevent, and some of them are not. So walking outside, breathing the air, walking by, cars give off emissions and give off smoke. We have cell phone towers, and those are giving off silent toxins that we can't even see, or most of us can't measure, right? Those are considered toxins. Additives, pesticides, herbicides, processed foods, chemicals in our beauty products, chemicals they put in our cleaning products, all of these are considered toxins. On the left, I kind of listed a few others. So mold, medications, runoffs from industrial chemicals, heavy metals, environmental hormones, and things that might be residues that get in our waters. And one of the reasons they are so hard to get rid of, one is overload. That's the biggest thing, is we just overload our system. Our systems were not meant to take all of this in. But the other reason, with my really advanced drawing there, is that the top circle is a toxin. And essentially it's like wrapped in saran wrap. So it gets stuck and it's slippery and nothing can grab it to get rid of it. So if you are not taking in the proper nutrients to kind of handle, detox requires certain nutrients. And if you're not taking those in, you have no way to grab it. Like that grabby game or whatever you want to think about it, it stays very slippery and you don't get rid of that toxin. So making sure you have the proper nutrients helps you move on through the phases of detox, as long as the system's not overloaded. Okay, so you can be doing everything right as far as taking in the right nutrients, but if you're bogging down the system with the toxins, we're still gonna have an issue, okay? So this is a little bit of a picture. I don't care so much, and again, I apologize for you here, it's a little blurry, for the toxins, because we just had that list of toxins, but toxins come in, one part of your liver is gonna go through phase 1, and then as it moves the toxin through your liver, it's going to go into phase 2, which is how you eliminate it. How do we eliminate it? Either the kidneys in our urine, or it's going to go through gallbladder, turn into bile, and be created into stool. So phase 1 to phase 2 creates a water soluble, essentially like a waste product that we can then eliminate from our system. So every time we have an alcoholic drink, our body goes through this every single time. Every single time you eat a food that probably has some form of something sprayed on it, your body's going through this. So this is happening all day, every day, okay? The list on the bottom are the nutrients that are needed for all these big terms that are the phases of what happens during these phases. And so if we're deficient in any way in vitamin B, you're not going from phase 1 to phase 2. Like, it's not going to happen. B complex is absolutely needed. Glutathione, we've heard, I use the collective we, but glutathione is one of your most powerful antioxidants. It is also one of the most powerful detoxifiers. So if you are deficient, what's going to happen? Again, not going to go from phase 1 to phase 2. And then once you're there, so let's say you make it to phase 2, all these 7 processes have to happen to make these toxins water soluble. If we're low on vitamin C, if we're not taking in our choline, we're low in magnesium, 80% of the US population is deficient in magnesium. Now we can't get these things out. Okay, so now they're just sitting there and collect. And then that's where we start to get issues and cause symptoms. So what are some signs of toxic overload? Like, why? Yes, yes, and yes. If I sent you all with a checklist and you can check some of these things off.
I don't know about infertility, because that ain't happening for me.
So cravings are a big one.
Yeah.
And cravings are going to be tied to the last one, which is the thought of giving something up. I'm a little over dramatic with it, but it's realistic. When I tell somebody like, hey, you got to give up gluten, and they're like, what? Like, hold the train. Can I do this without giving up gluten? Like, can we work around this? Your body's got like toxic, we got overload, because it's now your gut is connected to your brain and it's telling your brain like you need that food, and it's like, I can't give it up. So that's a big one.
That's called addiction.
Joint pain, feeling like brain fog, fatigue, any skin condition. So like acne, rosacea, those get worse. I notice like I have a little rosacea in my cheeks. Gets way worse when I'm eating bad as opposed to like eating well. Again, weight struggles, constipation, mood disorders, even infertility. I deal with a lot of clients working on getting pregnant. And number one is we got to clean the system out and start over. And then any digestive issues, bloating, constipation, gas, diarrhea, pain, belching, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That wasn't directed at you. Okay. So I had a question earlier from Christy, who was here, who said, like, is there a measurable way to know, like, pre-detox, like where I am, and then how do I know after detox that my toxic load is better? And unfortunately, there's not really a great test. There are tests that exist that will tell us if you have mold or fungus or bacteria. We know that if we do a test and it comes up, you've got candida overload, or you've got aspergillus, you've got some mold exposure, you need, no matter what, like you need to detox, and then we need to treat for what has built up. Just doing a detox isn't going to get rid of the candida, or just doing a detox is not going to get rid of the aspergillus, which is a mold. But all of us have our personal limits. Mine is going to be different than Christy's. It's going to be different than my mom's. It's going to be different than Lindsay's. We're all going to be a little bit different, and symptoms will occur when our personal limit and the way that we get rid of it are no longer able to clear those toxins fast enough. And that's when it'll tip the scale and you'll start to get what's considered more of that toxic overload. And then there's also things that impact your ability to detox. So your genes, they play a role, whether, you know, it's not all in your genetics, but it does play a role. And then the choices that we make can turn that gene on or off. And that's probably a talk for another day, but epigenetics is a great thing to look into because that's gene expression. So I may have genes that tell me that I don't detox well, but if I behave myself, my detox pathways will process properly. Gut health is very important to detox, and that's not just taking a probiotic. There is much more to your gut health than a regular probiotic. And then of course, continued exposure. So if I'm going to keep utilizing the same products, or I have mold in my house and I haven't gotten rid of it and I'm getting continued exposure, that's going to be a problem.
That could also apply to continued exposure to stressors.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Stressors as well. Yes. Because stressors are going to change that internal environment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so let me see. Okay, I just want to make sure there wasn't a title. So toxins have to come out before you can treat a condition. So if someone's like, I want to treat XYZ condition, is this detox good for me? It's not meant to treat anything. So that's number one. It's meant to treat the issue of problems detoxing. That's what a detox is for, and to get your detox pathways cleared, the tubes clogged are like unclogged, and get your body processing better. Once we get rid of the toxins, if there is a condition, now we can start to treat that condition better. Okay, you don't always have to. People can be successful treating certain conditions without doing a detox, but I find it helps. There are such things called healing aggravation. So someone may do a detox and notice a little breakout, or like I use the skin because that's our biggest like organ of elimination. You're going to see it. So that tends to be where someone would see it. So let's say you're noticing like you're itchy and you're like, this is weird. Like all of a sudden I'm itchy. Those are very harmless and they're temporary. It's not something that's forever. And they're not a reaction. Essentially, it's a response from the toxin getting out and being in contact with you, not so much like a side effect of a detox, right? It's the toxin that's doing it. It just so happens we're expelling it.
So that could also be an indicator of
The need to do it.
overload by having like an itchy patch on
Yes.
your skin or something like that, right?
Yes. Yeah. So the question was, that could also be a sign of toxic overload, which is absolutely correct. So my detox number one rule, well, there's two, but number one is you never detox if you're constipated. You have to be able to expel the toxins so they don't recirculate. So you never want to do a detox if you're constipated. We need to be regular first. And the second rule is if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, you never want to detox because it can get in breast milk. So we don't want the toxins to be circulating either through the placenta or to the baby via breast milk. So speaking of regularity, okay, this is a Bristol stool chart. We love talking about poop here. This is one of our favorite things. Love talking about poop because no one talks about it, and we get patients and you ask if you're regular and they say yes, and 3 weeks later you found out regular for them is every 3 days. Well, that's not regular. That's regular for them, but that's not normal. So it's important that we address it so we know what realistic and what regular really is. Okay, so regular is type 4, 1 to 2 times per day. Okay, once is normal, twice is normal. More than that, we're starting to get a little bit over unless you're doing some sort of like colon work, okay? And under that, if we're not going every day, that's a problem as well. Or if, well, yeah, I go every day, but I'm number 2. Or I go every day, but it's always number 7, that's a problem too. So what we need to do with what the detox kit will help with is it will help create regularity, bulk, and motility to the digestive tract before you start the rest of the detox kit. So there's a product in there that will help with that. And depending on your level of regularity, if anybody on the call or here is like, I'm not regular, how do I deal with that first? We can talk one-to-one and figure out how long to do that one product before you start the detox. So you can still do it. You can still have a kit. We just have to use one of the products until things get regular. Yes.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah.
So if you're normally like number 4.
Yeah.
But on occasion, you might have a 5, 6, or a 7 because of like some food you ate. Not that
That's
it has
okay.
toxins in it, but like it's just, like garlic is sensitive to
Right.
me. I love it, but it doesn't love me.
Right. That's
Is
okay.
that okay?
That's okay. So the question was, let's say you're usually a number 4, but every once in a while you're any other type, whether it's something you ate or maybe you're dehydrated, like you went a whole day and you sat at your computer, you worked your butt off and you didn't have any water that day. Yeah, it's going to be 3 or 2, right? It's going to be lighter because you had no liquid in your body. If an occasional other number is occurring, it's okay to detox. Okay. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the kit, and then I want to talk about some stuff everybody can start doing, because I know I've got some people who aren't ready to do the kit yet or who don't know if they want to do the kit, but I do want to touch on it so everybody knows what it is. Okay, so we're going to go each product. So drainage is a product. Some of the people call it drainage. That's like the Target of the detox kit.
I like that.
But this is a homeopathic. This is a homeopathic remedy, and this one is regulated by the FDA, but it is meant to stimulate the functions of the liver that help excrete things. So when you saw that picture that I posted earlier of the saran wrapped toxin, it essentially works to add that handle that says like, hey, take out the garbage, like, hey, body, it's time to take the trash out. And so this is when you take it, you let it sit in your mouth, no other food, no water, you haven't brushed your teeth, it's by itself solo, you let it sit, it works with your saliva, and that's how it communicates with your body. Okay, it has no taste. You do a couple drops. I don't have the instructions out, so I don't want to tell you specifically how many drops, but you do it first thing in the morning, and I think last thing before you go to bed. This is where you may start to notice the beginning stages of detox. The next product is our vegan protein powder. So it's lactose free, it's a vegan powder. It is a mixture of different proteins, and this helps support gastrointestinal health. It also has studies behind it that help balance blood sugar. So if somebody has issues with blood sugar, they're diabetic, this is a great protein powder. When I was pregnant, I didn't want to drink the yucky juice to test my blood sugar. So she made me track my blood sugar 5 times a day for like 2 weeks. And after my breakfast every single day when I was pregnant was a protein shake with fruit, mind you. So like I would put fruit in there, including banana. Like I loaded that puppy up, and I would check my blood sugar, and my blood sugar was almost always the same as my fasting after I had a shake with this powder. So it just tells you, it helps kind of keep you pretty stable. If you have an issue with those spikes and dips, this is really going to help.
Is this a supplement or a replacement meal?
It can be a meal replacement. Yeah. This helps support detox because it has all those necessary nutrients, including those that help boost glutathione. So when we are going through those lists of everything we needed, do I still think a multivitamin is great or B complex is great if you guys know you're deficient? Absolutely. I don't want somebody to stop any supplements, but this will have in it for the 6 days of this program, this will have in it what you need. Vanilla and chocolate. So I have both. And I probably have samples of both. So if you wanted to take,
Really? Is it good?
I like them both. And then regulate. So this is the product that somebody would start with. No matter what you start with this, the instructions will have you do this for 2 days before you start the program. But if someone is not regular, we would start this a little bit longer. This helps do a couple different things. It will add bulk to the stool. If the stool is already bulky, it's not going to affect that. So it's not going to like make it more bulky. It just helps create regularity. It helps move things. So it's going to get things moving through. Sometimes stool that is too hard, it's hard for a couple reasons. It's hard because either it's not moving through fast enough, your body's absorbing too much out. It has too much time sitting there, so your body takes more out of it, or you're dehydrated. So there's a couple different reasons for stool that is too hard. This will help promote regular motility, so it's moving through at an appropriate pace. And then, of course, digestion, elimination, and those final phases of detox. And then our probiotic capsules, again, bowel regularity. This is going to help with the immune response and help maintain that appropriate intestinal flora. For those of you getting a kit, there is enough in it to do the detox twice, I think. Just about. Or you'll have enough probiotics left over to finish for the rest of the month. It's a month's worth of probiotics. The Regulate you can keep on hand in case you're having some bouts of irregularity. It's not something I would take forever. Like I would recommend more of the probiotic on a regular basis, but the Regulate you can keep on hand. If it's like, man, I just like things haven't felt right the last couple of days, start taking the Regulate to get things back to where you want them to be. And then the powder you can utilize as a meal replacement when you want. So you want to start using it for breakfast, you want to throw it in for an afternoon snack, or maybe you want it for lunch because you're used to like that afternoon dip where 3 p.m. you're like asleep at your desk. Something like that shake is going to be helpful for that.
Potentially detox twice.
Potentially, if you saved everything, you should be able to detox twice.
Would you not recommend or recommend a back-to-back?
No,
detox?
I would not do it back to back. If you decide to save all the products and do the detox again, depending on the severity or how much you need to do it or how you feel after, I'd have a better answer for you. You could do it sooner than this if you really like, if your system was telling me like you really needed it, but seasonally or quarterly is very good. Your bodies go through, that's why we do this now in the fall, because your bodies go through a lot of change as we're getting into fall from summer. Chemically, seasons, vitamin D, like all these things are changing right now for our systems. And so that's why it's a really good time now. And then come like winter into spring is like a really good one. Spring into summer, summer into fall, it's sort of like that. If someone really needs it, I would say, yes, you could do it again. I'd probably wait like 30, 45 days. And then everybody will get a guide. The biggest rule is start low, go slow. So if you're not regular, we take a few more days and we get you regular. If you start the shakes, you can start with 1 shake a day or 1 scoop of the powder a day if you're not sure how you're going to respond. I haven't really had anybody that had a bad response to the powder, but it's kind of to stay on the safe side. We recommend that you start slow. And then if there's foods, let's say you guys get the guide and you go through the list and there's a million things you know you're sensitive to, you have issues with, you don't eat, we can talk specifics. Or if I know, let's say, Christy, you have an issue with gluten, really it recommends kind of staying away from a lot of grains, but it says you can have whole grains. I might say, I don't want you doing any or anything that's like a processed grain. So I would say, hey, for you, let's cut out like no bread, no pasta, even if it's gluten-free, I want that gone. So there are some things that are allowed on this. You might be surprised, but that's, again, we're talking about toxins. And depending on how the thing is processed, it might actually be low in toxins. So your body should be able to process it okay. But this might be specific for different people. So stuff you guys can email me, or when I'm going to start a private Facebook group that's just for those doing the detox this time around. You can message me through there, or if it's appropriate, you think people would benefit from the comment, the question, or the guidance, and you can post it in the kit or in the Facebook group. Okay, so how do we start detoxing today? Because that's really the most important. The group detox, most of us are going to do this in 2 weeks. You can start it whenever you want. You don't have to do it with the group, or you could do it in a month from now if you want, whatever. But number one is reducing exposure. So how do we do that? Start juicing, start breathing. It's really important. Breath is so important to your healing. A lot of us take too many short little breaths and not enough big deep breaths. So we're limiting our oxygen intake. So just start taking a minute and start breathing. Clean eating. Less processed foods is going to be important. Even more important are going to be GMOs. Even more important, which we'll talk a little bit coming up still, is like grass-fed beef. It's more important than we think it is. Detox drinks. So you can make your own. I love the little picture because it's like throw water in a giant pitcher, good, like filtered, purified, good water. And throw everything you like in it that if we need it organic, we're going to get it organic. So cucumber, lemon, lime, grapefruit, watermelon, mint is amazing in water. It's probably one of my favorite things. And leave it in the fridge and then pour yourself a glass of detox drinks.
That wouldn't be included in mojito.
No, not in a mojito. not in a mojito. No, nice try. Good question. And limiting toxic exposure. So TVs, phones, microwaves. These are really important. EMFs are like exponentially damaging. I have an earbud in right now and I bought stuff to block the waves from hitting my brain. I don't know if they work, but I tell you, I put them on everything. And I'm going to get an EMF reader and I'm going to test them because I think that it is underestimated the effects 5G is going to have on our health. I have not gotten a new phone and I've not upgraded my iPhone because I don't want 5G. So until they shut me down, I don't want it on. If you guys use your phones for, we use it for everything. So this isn't a judgment, it's a recommendation. If you use it as an alarm, stop. Put your phone downstairs. Do not sleep with it next to your head. That is a lot of radiation by your brain all night long. So that explains everything. You are healed. You're welcome. Put your phones in another room. You can set your Wi-Fi to have time. Like if you're able to log in the back end or get someone who's very computer savvy to log in the back end of your router, and you can actually set timers on your Wi-Fi so it can turn off at a certain time. So before you go to bed, if you're done, you're not using it, have it shut off at a certain time and have it turn back on at a certain time. So there's no EMFs with the Wi-Fi in the house during those hours. Those things that block EMFs, I've got them on my TV, the back of the TV. I've got them on my microwave. I have them on this computer that I have right here. So you can buy stuff. We could talk about this forever. I'm very passionate about it. I think EMFs are like, I think we're gonna see, there's a lot of studies now, but I think there's gonna be more, that it's gonna be a bigger deal than people are making it out to be. Filtered water, if you're gonna use plastic, just make sure, I put BPA free on here. There are other chemicals in plastics that are harmful as well. It is not just about the BPAs, but that is a big one. Stainless is good to use for your containers. Reducing sugars, anything with a scent that's not scented with essential oils, get rid of it. And that's perfumes, air fresheners, cleaning products. If it smells, candles, they've got chemicals in them and you're breathing them in.
But I'm gonna smell if I don't have any.
Sorry. Safe cookware. So there's safer cookwares out there. Cast iron is really, really good. Anything with most things, let me say, with a non-stick coating, it's a coating. It is coming off in your food. Storage containers, don't heat anything in plastic. This is being recorded, so all my little blurbs, I can send you guys a copy. So if you're missing any of this. Dry brushing is awesome. We have a blog that one of our massage therapists wrote about dry brushing on our website, drleasure.com. You take a special skin brush and you dry brush your skin. So your skin is such a big organ of elimination. It takes off all the dead skin cells that are sitting on top of your skin. There's a certain amount of time that's recommended to do it and how often. And like, you just like hop in the shower without the water on and it's a special brush. It's soft, bristled. and you dry brush your skin and then shower. But that's awesome. We'll see. Sweating it out, so like saunas, infrared saunas, regular saunas, those are all great. Getting things out of your system, exercise, you got to get it out somehow. So like cleaning the pores out with movement and making sure you sweat when you're doing it. Okay, so what are some, all of these things I say like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. What are some things you're allowed to use? So what are some things that are okay? And I put beauty, so I always have beauty counter number 1, and people are like, well, you guys sell that. So that's like, that's not, is that legit? It's like, yes, beauty counter is legit. I will show you on the following screen. They actually come number 1 or number 2 on a lot of the reports for clean living products. And I'll show you how to find these reports and how to search the products you currently have. But beauty counter for beauty and personal care. Norwex, if you're not familiar, does, they've expanded a lot, but originally like cleaning products. So they use silver ions in their cleaning cloths so that you don't have to spray anything. So literally you use water and the cloth. They have mats. So like shower mats, when you hop out of the shower, that have silver in them that help fight bacteria. They have them for your house. So like your dogs will stand on them and like get the silver will help with all the crap that they just walked in, you know, it kind of gets them all clean, literally. But Norwex has a lot of great home cleaning products. Young Living now has expanded as well. So they're not just essential oils, but they do have personal care and home care products. They rate very high on these websites as well. If you're a coffee drinker, Purity Coffee, there's a couple others. And when I was trying to finalize my presentation, I'm drawing a blank, but I'll get them to you if I can. But Purity Coffee has less mycotoxins in their coffee, and those are just toxins that tend to be on the coffee bean and that aren't cleared off, or they don't go away during roasting. So when the beans get roasted, they still have the mycotoxins on them, but Purity Coffee is a really good brand that they've rated lower on the toxins. And then anybody with kids, Hello Bello and Babbo Botanicals. Hello Bello is Kristen Bell's company. And I was actually kind of surprised as I was doing some research because I liked them when my son was little. I used their diapers some, but actually some of their baby washes and like baby shampoos and diaper creams and Babbo as well rated like really high to be least toxic. Okay, again, really little writing, so I'm going to run through these. These are my favorite apps. These should all be on your phone.
That you're not supposed to use.
I said not by your head. Don't use a phone by your head. I didn't say I'm getting rid of technology. I just said we got to limit the EMF exposure. Okay, so we're going to run through all these. Most of them are free, not all of them. Okay, so no promises on which ones for sure are free. Think Dirty for sure is free. This is awesome. This helps you find alternative toxic products. You scan your product, let's say your toothpaste, your shampoo, whatever. If it's got a barcode, more than likely it's in this system. It will give it a number and a color from 0 to 10. 10, red, awful, throw it in the garbage. 0 to 3 is usually green, 0 being ideal, obviously. And then if one of your products comes up kind of high, it'll give you alternatives. So that's kind of cool. EWG Healthy Living. This you can also scan products and it will give you more healthy choices on even other things. So I can go to some of these apps and show you guys in a little bit, but this does a little bit more than just like cosmetics. So you can go even further. There's a Dirty Dozen app. So we talked about buying organic versus not buying organic. The Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15 change every year. These are which products are the dirtiest produce. So what are they using the most chemicals on that year? And that's why it changes every year, because they might have issues growing something that they didn't have issues the year before. So they need to pump it up with herbicides or whatever. They're having issues with bugs they didn't have last year. So there's a lot of sprays being used that weren't being used before. So that app will tell you which, if you're like, I don't want to buy everything organic, it's not financially, I don't want to, I don't think I need to. The Dirty Dozen should be bought organic because they have the most chemicals on them, and it's not just Jade saying so. We've got some proof, it's out there. And then the Clean 15 are the 15 that you more than likely don't have to buy organic, because either like usually bananas get on the Clean 15 list because they have a nice seal that most chemicals don't get into the banana. So you're not eating a lot of it. Another general rule of thumb is if you're eating the outside, I'd probably get it organic. If your apple looks really like too shiny, it's got something, it's got a coating or it's got something on it. You still want to clean it off. If you skin the apples, I'd probably still buy it organic. So that's what that list is for. EWG Skin Deep is actually just a cosmetic database. So this helps give you solutions for people to protect themselves and their families from everyday exposure to potentially toxic chemicals in personal care products. The Good Guide helps you not just with chemical products, but actually green and ethical products, which I really like. So if we are getting products that are being ethically sourced or that are being produced in more of a green manner, obviously we are going to have less runoff of chemicals from plants. We are going to have less emissions. If they're not having to transport their things in all these big trucks, we're going to have less in our air, right? So there's other things to think about aside from just the product itself being full of chemicals. Detox Me is really cool. This one is newer since the last time I did this presentation. This one actually kind of helps you make changes in your home to reduce chemicals that you and your family are exposed to. So that's kind of cool. And then the non-GMO project shopping guide is designed to help you understand what's in your food. It also has some beauty products and help you avoid GMOs. And I think it's a scanner. So you can go out, like you're shopping, you're buying your favorite foods, you scan it, you'll see, maybe I shouldn't be eating it. The one thing I don't know is the food, except the Dirty Dozen, the food ones, I'm not quite sure if like the Good Guide or EWG Healthy Living or the non-GMO project will scan fruits and veggies that have a barcode. I don't know, because a lot of these are new or newer, at least to me. I didn't know these had been around for a while. That was a lot. We got a lot and a little bit. We got a little bit of time. Okay, so I had a question earlier. I told Christy to hang on to it. The question was, if I'm doing the detox and I'm not sticking 100%, so let's say you gave me the list of stuff I should buy organic and I don't buy it organic, or let's say I don't get grass-fed beef, like, is this a problem? Yes. The short answer is yes, it's a problem, because the point of the detox is, one of the issues with detoxing is reducing exposure. So if we're going to do a detox, but we're going to continue to eat the food that is laden with chemicals and food that is fed, beef that is fed corn, 99% of corn is GMO. I can promise most of the farms that we're getting beef from is GMO corn. That gets into the cow, that gets into our meat, that gets into us. So yes, we don't want to be doing it. Is it, like, let's say you finish the detox. So like you're really good during the detox. You're like, I don't know that I can do grass-fed beef all the time, or like farm-raised salmon. It's really hard to find around here. Nowadays, like salmon is pretty chemical laden because we're growing it, and we're growing it in a thing, like my pond. Things are, it's moderation until your toxic load tipping point. So does that mean everything is bad? Does it mean I never eat a non-organic piece of fruit or vegetable? Absolutely, that's incorrect. Like, of course, there are things that I eat that are not organic. I'd say 100% of my meat, beef especially, if I'm eating at home, I buy grass-fed organic, humanely raised. I'll get free range eggs. Free range are different than cage free. Free range is the best. So if there's eggs that you're looking for, like organic is one thing, but something can be organic and raised in a cage and fed corn. It just happens to be organic. Free range means that they've got a certain amount of space per chicken. Cage free just means they're not in a cage, but they can still have on top of each other. They can still be like in this much space, it's just not in a cage. So free range eggs actually have more nutritious value.
I mean, you have to trust.
You really can't. You really can't.
Probably should like stick with home cooked stuff for the 6 days.
Yes, I would say yes. For the detox, I would say stick the 6 days at home. For future, like unfortunately, like right here where we live, there's not a ton of restaurants that do like farm to table, but there are some nearby. So it's like if we had the option, sure, I'd love to go out to dinner at the places that are farm to table. I know what they're bringing to the table. I know they're looking for these items that we're talking about here. They know the importance of this, and that's what they've designed their restaurants around, but not everybody does.
Real clean paleo.
Yeah. I mean, like if you want stuff at home, like we used to have pickups here for Real Clean Paleo. She's right here in Libertyville. She does paleo meals, but if she can get stuff from local farmers, she gets stuff from local farmers. If she can get veggies, meat, etc., she'll try to focus her menu around what's available and what's in season, because that makes a difference. We know it's grown with less chemicals.
Like, where would you normally shop then? Mariano's?
I shop everywhere. I shop everywhere. You get grass-fed beef at Aldi.
Yeah.
Okay. You can. It's probably better priced at Aldi than most places, and it's comparable. Eggs, I don't think Aldi has free range. I know they have cage free and organic. I don't think they have free range. I typically get my free range at Mariano's or Costco. Vegetables, anywhere's got an organic section. It's just a matter of how good it is. So you got to pick and choose there. But for veggies, I think anywhere.
Also Fresh Cafe.
Oh yeah, Fresh Cafe. They're another good one. They're order only now though. You can't walk in.
Yes, but I've got the phone number in my phone.
So it just depends. I kind of shop a little bit everywhere, which is the hard part, but at least I'm, and then are there things that you buy that are not like
Amish chicken, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. That'd be good.
I could totally tell the difference because my brother had Amish chicken breast once and totally tell the difference in taste.
Yeah.
Versus like just store-bought chicken breast.
Yeah. You can definitely, and the question, was Amish chicken. Yeah, you can tell a difference in, look at the chicken. Like you can tell a difference in appearance. It's not going to say on the label, this was pumped full of steroids. Why is this one 5 times bigger than this one? Like there's a reason for it. It's either what it was fed or what was injected to make it look plump or make it look good because that's desirable. So we buy it, right? So there's things to think about the way that they make the food look more appetizing. Why do they put coloring in soda? It's in a can. You don't see it. Why does it have caramel coloring?
This goes back to the Flavor Saver tomato when they were trying to make this genetically modified food way back decades ago. Genetically modified tomatoes to be nice, big, round, juicy, plump.
People want a red, round, perfect looking tomato. So, it's all about, every industry, it's about, they want to make money doing it. So they're going to do what they can to sell more of it, better, faster, produce it more, produce it faster, transport it faster, get it to you faster. Everything comes at a price then. Yeah. So is everything perfect? No, but the goal is let's control what we can. And those things that are out of our control will not have as much of an effect. If there is a time you're on your phone more, okay, well, the stuff I'm putting on my skin and the products I'm using in my hair, I'm washing my face with, I'm lotioning with stuff that doesn't have as many chemicals, I will not get on toxic overload because I'm monitoring the stuff I can monitor. And I think that's hopefully the takeaway, is that a lot of this is under our control and it doesn't have to be exponentially more expensive. Some are a little more expensive, right? If they're a little more sustainable, it's going to cost a little bit more, but not everything. So questions online? Do I have any while you guys are with me? You can either unmute or you can open the chat, and if not, that's okay too. I'm keeping myself open just in case. Okay, I don't see any. So if you guys do have any questions, even if it's something you want to private message me or email me, that is fine as well. I'm gonna
Okay, do we have to keep the probiotics in the refrigerator?
no, you do not have to keep the probiotics in the refrigerator. I'm gonna stop the